Welcome to the Reel-ists podcast. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at The House with the Clock in Its Walls. We'll be exploring the characters and the plot, and also the special screening of Michael Jackson's Thriller. All that and more in episode 77 of the Reel-ists podcast. Team Reel-ists, welcome to this episode. My name is Oscar.
Oh, sorry guys. My name's Donnie. I was lost over here.
Nope, it was a solo hosting of the day.
I'm here.
And we have our producer Ruben here as well.
Hello.
He's practicing getting louder for his hellos. He's working on it.
He's cupping his hand around his mouth to project his voice out.
We're hearing the feedback. We're
listening to you guys.
But yes, welcome to this episode. Welcome to the coverage of The House with the Clock in Its Walls. I wanted to get that out of the way right now because I'm officially just calling it the Clock Movie for the rest of the podcast. Donnie, if you're free to join with
Clock
that.
Movie?
The Clock Movie.
Okay.
That's just in
Just
itself.
easier.
Just if we want to just critique the title in itself, that's the whole episode. But yes, so we just wanted to thank everyone for tuning into this episode. If it's your 78th episode, welcome
Congratulations.
back. Congratulations. You're
made it.
right on par with where we're at. You're up to date. And if you're a first-time listener, welcome. We hope you enjoy this episode and you tune in to future episodes that we have. We always have them on Thursdays, so always be on the lookout. Thursday should be podcast day. I feel like we should make that a thing if we ever get big. Podcast days,
Podcast
Thursdays.
day.
We'll start now. It's officially recorded, stated that on September 27th,
The day before your birthday.
the day before, we're trying to get podcast day
National
to be Thursdays.
Podcast Day.
But yeah, so thank you everyone for listening to that. We don't have much housekeeping to cover over. Just always keep in mind that we are on social media with Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Team Reel-ists. We won't spell it because you should know it by now if you're a returning listener. If you're a new listener, just listen to one of our other episodes.
Wow.
That's how we said it. That's how we get another view. But yes, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the review for this movie. But before we do, I guess, Donnie, it's only fair that we first go with how it was shown to us, right? With the special screening of Michael Jackson's Thriller. So before we get into the movie coverage, what did you think of seeing Thriller on IMAX?
I loved it. So I don't really know what the purpose was of showing this music video with the movie. There was no tie together. It's not like it was referencing
just like
the movie.
Halloween special, yeah.
Yeah. A little early for Halloween, but okay.
and not with Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Oddly enough.
I could have said it would have made more sense to do it with Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not complaining. We got it. I loved it. I just didn't know why they were doing it, but I'm glad they did it. It was great. I was a little hesitant about it because this music video was filmed in the 80s. I didn't know how well they were going to be able to translate this, video into 3D.
Yeah.
I didn't know how good the visual was going to be, how great, it was. I didn't know. My expectations weren't that high. Let's put it right there.
My fear, and similar to yours, was that it was just going to be enlarged. Like it was going to be like kind of like not terrible quality, but like what you can see on YouTube.
Yeah, it's like when you take an old YouTube video and you full screen it, and then you can
it's not better
quality. It's just larger.
Yeah,
I was thinking it was going to be that first of all, and it was not like that. It was really, really restored beautifully, and
yes. You could have for a second believed that it was filmed this year.
Yeah, it was really, really well done. Loved it. And then to see it at that large of a capacity, to see it on the big screen was amazing. It's like I've only ever seen it on a television or a computer screen. So to see it like that was so cool. And I noticed so many things. I noticed things that I had not noticed before. And to hear Thriller just booming in the theater was like so dope. Like it was crazy cool.
It was a really fun experience. I'm glad that they did that. I'm glad we found out about it, and we didn't miss out on that opportunity. I was really surprised at just how they restored it very well with the 3D too. I don't know if this is how like modern 3D movies are looking like, but 3D movies that looked legit for 3D. Like I
normally don't like 3D movies at the movie theater because I just don't feel like they do a great job.
Right,
the quality's crappy.
Yeah, exactly.
But
this one
was done well.
Yes, really well. And so well. I'm not sure if it was just more money or more time that was put into it, and compared to like blockbusters where they rush everything. So that was really surprising to see. It was a really nicely done, and yeah, to hear Thriller in IMAX speakers boom in. If you love the song, you would get a kick out of it. And we both were restraining from singing along to it.
Yeah, seriously.
But no, it was really fun. They then try to scare us. They throw a little scare at you at the end. With the last image of the zombie that's staring at the screen, and then like they did like
their eyes like jumped out at you. Or
they did like one of those classic computer tricks where they're just like, oh, stare at the screen, come closer, and then boom, it scares you. It's kind of like that. Which was unexpected. But yeah, definitely worth it. And unfortunately, it was only a 1 week thing because Venom will be coming out soon. They're going to phase it out of screenings. So it was nice to see it. So hopefully they do it for another
I kind of wish...
they should do it more often for Halloween movies.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And I kind of wish that they did that at the end of the movie. Not to say that I was ready to go after we saw it, but a part of me was like, okay, we saw that, and then I was like,
oh yeah, we have a
started
movie.
Getting a little tired. I was like, oh, we still gotta watch this whole movie.
Oh yeah, the movie has.
It would have been a nice little treat at the end, as opposed to like I felt like I got my brownie before I had dinner, and by the time dinner came, I was like, well, I'm not starving because I had a brownie. Yeah. I wish I could have got the brownie at the end.
Right, makes sense.
But
But yeah, it was for what it was. It was definitely a special treat. Hopefully, any of our listeners listening was able to get that experience as well. For a second, I thought we weren't going to be able to see it in AMC with our A-list, but it turns out that one of them was playing it, so we took advantage of that. So definitely an awesome experience. Probably, unfortunately, that doesn't play a factor into our review for this upcoming movie, The Clock. Mm-hmm. But Donnie, given that that's what the title of this episode is, that's what our actual coverage is, what were your thoughts on the actual movie, The House with the Clock in Its Walls?
I thought it was a nice, wholesome family film, like horror family film.
Yes.
It reminded me very much of like The Haunted Mansion, Eddie Murphy's The Haunted Mansion. It was, it had some kind of creepy, scary parts, but almost kind of like novelty and like fun. It wasn't like anything it wasn't trying to be a like super scary horror film for young kids. It was more so like fantasy, adventure, and It had some like demon and warlock aspects in it. I didn't know it was based off a novel of the same name. I just learned that, so that was interesting.
We have not read the book.
We have not read the book. We'll just throw that out there.
I feel like that's now a new advisory.
I know, a little disclaimer before we start any freaking episode.
Because every movie is based off books now.
I know, seriously. It's like, dang. Be original. Original writers.
Wasn't it A Simple Favor that was just like the book was written like the year before, like last year?
I think so, right?
It was like one of those. Yeah, it's crazy. Dang. Not even giving it that much time yet.
I know. But anyways, I thought it was fun. It was something that I don't necessarily think teenagers or young adults are gonna want to see. I don't think teenagers and young adults are gonna walk away going, that was such a great movie, if they just go like by themselves. But I think a lot of families, a lot of really younger kids or preteens, and a lot of parents will walk away going, that was a good film.
Yeah, if you love the Halloween theme, not for the Halloween theme to get scared, but just the spirit of Halloween, this one definitely ringing that same bell, that same tone. Like Hocus Pocus as another one that's kind of just that feeling of it. So yeah, I'm right there with you in those same thoughts, because watching it never got to the point where I was like, okay, this is too cheesy, but at the same time, it was a nice balance of like, we have to make sure kids can enjoy it with the whole like using your spells and all that, and then the visuals were still appealing enough to see it through. It wasn't bad. So yes, definitely a nice blend for that. But for those that may not be familiar of this movie is about a young orphan named Louis Barnavlet, I'm going to say that, who aids his magical uncle in locating a clock with the power to bring about the end of the world. So this movie does star Jack Black and Kate Blanchett, and also Owen Vaccaro. So those are our main stars here. And we also have some, other characters throughout the movie, but those are the big ones.
Yeah.
So this movie really had a Halloween vibe to it. All the pumpkins and the decorations, everything gave off a Halloween
very fall,
vibe.
very harvesty, very autumn time vibes.
Right. So I do want to just briefly talk about the plot and the settings that it was in. Because to me, I was like, okay, I understand that this is Halloween, but they didn't make it that it had to take place in Halloween. So it was kind of like, what if you did this at any other time of the year? Like, I get releasing it in Halloween makes sense, but that's usually a tricky part when you do a seasonal movie.
You're always going to be in competition with all the other films that are going to be
out
released
on that season, and it's only going to be hard. It's only going to be more watchable. Not that you can't watch it any time of the year, but you're only going to want to watch it during Halloween time.
Yeah.
And if as a ghost story, you still I feel like Casper is another one that Casper is one you can watch really year round.
Casper.
You don't really need to watch it Halloween time.
Speaking of Casper, I don't mean to switch gears here, but did you guys see any of the other Casper movies other than the first one?
I think I saw the second one.
Did you see Casper Meets Wendy with Hilary Duff? I watched that one like all the time as a kid.
I think maybe. Which is the one that had the green one?
Wasn't that Casper Meets Wendy?
I don't know.
Well,
okay, then that was the one I saw.
Is there only two?
Is there only two?
I thought there was a second one. I thought Casper Meets Wendy was the third one. I could be wrong. We'll fact check that. Let's go back to the movie. Oscar, return us home.
But yes. So, what do you think about the setting in this terms? Did it help you buy into the Halloween spirit, or do you feel like this one was more of just?
I did think it helped me. I like that it was. I feel like it was I guess I don't know if the novel took. If the time setting was also 1955, but I like that they took it back that far because
that's true.
It helps you take you out of today in a sense, as opposed to if we were in 2018 and I almost said 2014 like that was current year. I have no idea what year we're in. If we were in 2018 in the film, it would have been harder to take me out of what I know. So to take it back, anytime you take it back, you're always getting these like I feel like it always helps the setting and enhances everything because it seems so old and mysterious
and distant
and kind of foreign to us in a way, and so
helps,
things seem creepier. The cracks in the night seem more haunting. All these things. This fudge. I cannot speak. Sorry.
I'm glad you do bring that up because that's actually what I was gonna mention. That it actually helped to this case with both the theme of Halloween and the settings, the time period. Because when you start to look at movies similar to the modern day, you don't really feel like you're being taken out of your world. You feel like you're just viewing someone else's world for temporarily, like in the same way that you can go and stalk someone on social media or something. So I feel like that's nice to kind of get away from your modern Halloween day.
It's also hard,
which is what Goosebumps is doing. Like Goosebumps is one that's like taking a classic property and putting it into modern day. But
right, it's also hard though because it's like if you have a horror film that comes out and the time period is 2017 2018 modern day, then you start thinking of all the technological aspects, at least I do, in terms of if there's a monster or a ghost, I'm like, okay, well, aren't there security cameras around that are picking that up? Wouldn't somebody be recording this on their phone and uploading it to Twitter? Wouldn't somebody, I start thinking all these things, which takes me out of it because then I can't focus on what they're trying to get me to focus on. I'm thinking about how that would play out in today. So when they take us back to like 1955, where there is not a lot of technology,
you're just like, well, I wasn't here at this time, so I don't know.
Well, I'm just like, it seems like it would be easier for supernatural forces to move about.
Because it's a story you're willing to listen to play out. You're like willing to let it play the entire story rather than like Paranormal Activity is one that comes to mind. That's like a modern where they're trying to use the current technology and still scare you.
And they did. And I liked that. I really like that one. I think a lot of, like, if we're talking about a horror film that uses modern day, I think that one got it really good. Like, got it right.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that. And
I mean, we became limited, but yes, it was very well done for that use. But yeah, that's why I was asking that question, because it is one that I feel like for Halloween time and Christmas movies, you kind of don't need to feel like it's modern day. Like, you don't need to feel like it's the present day for your classics. If you think of all your classics, they all, I mean, yeah, when they came out, that was, the current year for some movies, but you don't feel like that for most. You still can sit back and watch it. People still watch Hocus Pocus. Yeah, and, Hocus Pocus still was like an early 90s vibe, so it's really nice. It's really nice to have that unique feeling when you watch movies, and I think it helps with the holiday ones at the very least. Maybe summer is one. It's like, well, there's no distinction that it's summer outside of like cliches that you can go do, but there's no look of summer.
It's not like what's a movie? I don't know why this is a random one. This is hella random, but that movie, it was like a horror comedy movie about that German dark Santa Claus, the Krampus, whatever.
Krampus, yeah.
That's a movie I wouldn't just watch it again because I didn't really love it. But that's one you would only watch during Christmas time, really, because it was all Christmas themed. Or this Christmas, with everybody that was in, Chris Brown and Loretta Devine, all those people. Those are films you would only watch, during the season. Time, yeah. Or like that bunny movie, Hop. IHOP? No, not IHOP.
Just Hop.
Like I would just watch that during Easter time, or things like that. So yeah, it just got kind of going back to what we were saying. Like it's always, I don't want to say a risk, but to put out a seasonal film like that is, you just got to know, unless it's like super, super good, and I think maybe you can get away with it with Halloween a little bit. I mean, we have like Michael Myers, that's coming out next month, but, that's one, like, I'll watch Halloween, not even, I guess I watch it more during Halloween season. I watch a lot of horror films during Halloween season, but I do also watch those ones kind of throughout the year too. So,
yeah,
it just depends on what the film is. But this is probably one. It wasn't so Halloween-y that I'm like, oh, I can only watch that during the month of October. But
a lot of elements that you associate come to mind and are shown, like the pumpkins and the haunted. It wasn't a haunted house, but it had a lot of. Some magic
happening in it, which was interesting. So the whole premise of like anybody could practice magic. His uncle, the kid's uncle, he was into magic and was a warlock, I guess, right?
Yeah. So
and the kid, Oscar was his name. What's his name?
The kid, or Owen was the actor's name.
Yeah.
The kid's name was, let's quickly.
The character. Yeah.
Lewis.
He wanted to practice magic, learn magic, and was like, please teach me. So that was interesting because a lot of times you get, you have to be born with it, or it's something that's in your blood. Magic comes from within, not like, oh, this is an art, this is a craft that I can learn, I can study and become good at. So that was interesting, an interesting take on it, because a lot of films don't do that.
True.
Or you're in a Harry Potter like universe where everybody has access to magic. It's a part of our world. It's nothing like, only they get or I get, or So yeah, that was interesting. And I'm sorry, one more thing. I'm just rambling on tonight, I know, but I just wanted to say it was also interesting because I don't know much about like this kind of subject matter of magic and witches and warlocks. But you and I were kind of talking about it. They kept referring to it as warlocks, which is a male witch.
Yes.
And they wanted to be warlocks, but I was saying it's interesting because I used to watch Charmed religiously as a child, and warlocks were evil. There were demons and warlocks, and they used those two terms interchangeably throughout the series. So I always associated warlocks with being, evil, and in this film they were saying that it was, just a male witch, which we were like, wasn't that just a wizard?
Right, but I guess wizard is trademarked by Harry
Potter. They're like, let's not even go in that direction.
But no, I'm right there with you. I didn't have like a show base that taught me warlocks, but I always felt warlocks was a bad connotation. Like, you don't want to be called that, or if you're called that, it's because you're being insulted intentionally. But no, yeah, that was very interesting. But speaking of Lewis and our characters here, I really felt like Jack Black and Cate Blanchett really had fun with these roles, which helped make it enjoyable. Both of them seemed like they were going along with what the story was, despite the stories being a little bit on the family, friendly side, where it didn't cross any lines. It briefly, went scary for a little bit, but it still managed to. and I feel like they made it enjoyable characters to watch. And Lewis, grew on you. At first, you were just like, what's going on with this kid? But it was really just no one was understanding his perspective, and
I was like, oh, this isn't Jacob Tremblay?
Yeah. For reals, that's the one that the trailers were just like, oh, that's Jacob Tremblay, from Wonder. No,
it's not. That's not him. Oops.
But yeah, but he did it. Both the actors and Owen, all the actors that were leading this movie did a great job performance-wise.
Yeah, I really liked.
I feel like they carried this movie.
They really did. I feel like that was a good decision on casting. The Owen, I don't know his last name, but the actor,
Vaccaro,
Owen Vaccaro, he was great. He was the one from Bad Moms, right? He played the son in Bad Moms.
Correct.
And he was in. Didn't he also play the son in Daddy's Home?
Oh wait, no, I think it was Daddy's Home that he was in.
Not Bad Moms.
Not Bad Moms.
Well, yeah. Daddy's Home, and I remember this kid's great. Like, he was funny. He had a lot of good scenes that I remember. So it was nice to see him in something else, and he was very, very likable and just I don't know, just
he developed,
wholesome.
He developed from the beginning to the end very well in a natural way. Nothing that felt like, oh, he automatically changed just because the movie needed it to. It's like you actually felt like, him coming from a grieving time where he lost his parents and, he was living with his uncle he didn't really know.
Yeah.
To really understanding and embracing his uncle and what his uncle was doing and finding his own self again to some extent. I really felt like they really carried an emotional part to it.
Jack Black was great. I always just think of,
he's become a family man at this point.
Yeah, he really has. I always think of his kind of more crazier, where he played like a crazier character in Orange County and School of Rock, and where he was a little more exuberant, I guess.
Yeah.
So I was like,
age has caught up.
But I think he's mellowed out a little bit, at least in this movie he did, and I think it worked really, really well.
Yeah.
It wasn't too over the top. It was just the right amount of spunky or spunk and spontaneity and energy
that you would need from a character portraying an uncle.
Exactly.
In that degree, yeah.
And then Cate Blanchett, I mean, she's just freaking amazing. I mean, she's an amazing actress.
Yeah, she made the most of her time.
She was great. She was great in this movie. I mean, they all were so good.
Yes. The villains, though, I will say the villains were very, and I don't say this as because that they were in that degree, but very similar to comic book villains that you see in movies right now, where it's just they have I have my evil plan and it's gonna go my way, and then they end up losing because they weren't flexible.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely had that cliche villain trope where they see it only one way and nothing's stopping them, and it looks like it's going their way, and all of a sudden, even it was a very TV movie-esque kind of climax.
Yeah, very Disney Channel.
Yeah.
Very let's watch a Disney Channel movie. Let's watch.
Which, if you want to, I'm just saying, don't look under the bed if you need a
horror movie. That is one. You know what?
We're gonna switch it up now. We're gonna review.
let's do it, because I can talk about that's one of my favorite Disney movies. I don't give a damn if it is only a Halloween movie. It's not just a Halloween movie. I've watched it in February. Okay. Love that movie.
We say all these comparisons just to help get the idea that this is exactly in line with that, and it succeeds. It does not, fall out where you lose interest and you're kind of just like, okay, I want to go home. Yes, you get, if you saw it with Thriller, you have that moment where you're just like, oh, we have to watch this movie, right? That's not just Thriller, but it still manages to keep an interesting story, and I can see it playing on TV. Very often during this time. I don't see it as a classic kind of movie where a lot of people are going to be naturally wanting to see it, but I can see Nickelodeon or Freeform playing it and it getting a good audience views when it comes out on TV. So
yeah, for sure, I can see that too.
Yeah. Was there any particular scene that was of interest for you?
I really liked just watching Lewis trying to come into his own with his wizardry abilities, his magical abilities, and I like how they were saying remember he was trying it and it wasn't working. He was trying to spell or something, it wasn't working. They were saying because you have to do it in your own way or something. Basically, they were saying you have to find your style of practicing magic. You have to, it has to be personal. You can't do it the same way your uncle does it. I think it was Kate Blanchett telling her that. So that was, I don't know why that, it wasn't even like a super.
Wasn't it the mom or the bad guy pretending to be, spoiler alert.
Yeah, as we're done with the episode, spoiler alert.
I mean, we didn't really cover.
No, it was when he was with the uncle and with and with her.
I thought I could see it also with the mom giving him like his own little.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, in this scene it was one of them, but I don't know why, and it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a super like climactic scene or anything, but it was just, I like that they threw that in there, like you have to make, like, you can do this, you just have to find your own way to do it.
A very true life lesson.
I know, it's a simple lesson in that example, but I mean, it speaks to like a broader lesson that you could learn in life. Like everything you do, you have to like, you have to be authentic to yourself, and you have to do things in your way, in your style, you know, the way you're going to do them. Be true to yourself. So I like that.
Absolutely. My favorite scene in particular for this movie was I want to say the turnaround when the villain started to get the upper hand and started to have his things go his way. So the reveal that the neighbors was actually his wife who never died. That he got the clock in the wall, and that it was because it had two particular things that were very disturbing. One was his backstory, which explained how he got this idea to try to reverse time and change history with that very ugly. Was it a demon or creature? Whatever that was very, very disturbing. Yeah, like I could see
like
that giving
the tongue split.
I can see that giving some kids some nightmares, which is fine.
Yeah, that was the most disturbing image, I guess, in the movie.
It's not bad. Like for most adults, they're not going to get scared. It's going to be disturbing to see, but I can see like that's that early moment where a kid can be like, that little thing scared the heck out of me when they grow up. You know, they're going to be looking back. But and also the dummies and the decorations like kicking out our main characters, that was also very, very interesting to see because it was very creepy and scary for a family movie, to the point where you're just like, I would be creeped out if I was being like dragged by puppets and like decorations around the house, like coming alive and dragging me out of the house, which there was natural. They were part of, they were always interacting, but to see them go evil, to see your household items go evil, that was a little memorable to me. It was very interesting to see.
You're like checking your items when you get home,
right? Make sure nothing moved. Even though they were making it a little over dramatic with the like resistance of like not wanting to go and then being like carried. Yeah, it was a little over dramatic, but it was still funny to see that. I feel like that entire portion of the film definitely give its Halloween scares for kids, for young ones. I think I would say probably under 13 would get
I'd probably say like 8 through 12.
Yeah, might get a good scare. Might get their best scare from what they can get from a family.
Unless you were like me as an 8-year-old and I'd already seen like The Exorcist and every horror movie imaginable, so then I'd be like, this is weak. But hopefully not. Hopefully these 8 to 12-year-olds have not seen those movies, and
all right, well, yeah,
this does scare them.
I mean, we're not judging parents, but
just
if you set your child
they don't call it
level,
parental guidance for nothing.
That's true. But yeah, so with all that being said, Donnie, what is going to be your score for this movie?
The House with a Clock in Its Walls.
Yes, there you go.
I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5 reels. I thought it was a good, wholesome family movie. The performances were good. The plot was interesting. It did keep me interested. Like I said, it's probably not one that I would go and like be like I have to watch again. Maybe if it was around Halloween time and it was playing on Disney Channel or whatever, I might watch it for a little bit. It's definitely something I would like if my nieces or nephews were like really excited to see. I totally would take them. I think it's a great movie. It was adventure, great for families. Yeah, I mean, but nothing's. I don't want to speak negatively on it, but nothing super memorable about the film. It was just like it was a good movie. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't. It wasn't a great like. Oh my god, I have to see it. So that's why my score is a little low. But I think a solid 3 out of 5 reels is what it deserves.
Okay, I'm gonna be a little bit on the gentle portion of the review. I feel like a 3.5 is going to be my score. Not too much different from yours, but I feel like this movie actually is a solid start. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a series. I don't know if they're trying to make a franchise out of it.
What would they even rename? What would they name it?
The house with
the
two
house
clocks.
with
2 clocks in its walls.
The house with the amulet in its walls.
The house with the talking couch, or
the house with the compass in its floors.
But I felt like it was a solid start. And the performances, it's very in line to like Jumanji that's just come out, where any family member that goes sees this is going to enjoy it. And I feel like that's a really good quality for a movie to make it enjoyable. I know it's not necessarily anything that stands out. I do agree there was nothing memorable too much, in the sense that you are thinking of it constantly, or you want to go back just to see a particular scene. But I feel like it's one that if you are watching it, you want to thoroughly see it go through. It's a family film, so you're not going to get anything too disturbing or any story that's too depth I don't want to say emotional, but more of like story-wise. You're not going to get something that's very, very detailed, in the sense that you have to pay attention from the beginning to know the ending. But it still manages to provide a solid Halloween movie. I think with time it might catch on as one that people like to watch on Halloween. But as of right now, there's a lot of other classics that just still beat it in terms of competition. It didn't do anything to put itself higher on the list, but it can work its way up, I feel like, especially if it decides to make it a franchise. But
right,
and the performances, again, for family movies, I feel like the performances are the biggest things to really focus on, because the story is always going to be a little bit thin. It's always going to be just point A to point B to point C. There's not going to be in between the lines, so I feel like the actors have to entertain you, very much as like a theater performance. They have to entertain you for the entire time, and I feel like they did. So yeah, I think this was a successful movie for what it was. In terms of realistic, it's magic that they're playing with, so you can't really critique it on being too unrealistic. It makes it believable to an extent of people and their thoughts on magic. I feel like there was some that were unbelievers, like his friends who didn't believe it, and that was actually a very interesting take, where you thought it was like a friend that's going to form a friendship was going to form with one of his classmates, and it doesn't.
Yeah. We both were on the same page. We thought that was going to develop into like a true friendship, hopefully.
Yeah.
Like maybe a popular kid who at first maybe didn't want to be seen befriending the new quote unquote weird kid, but then eventually realizes that he is a cool friend and a great friend to have. So he's gonna. But no, I didn't go that way. He was just a jerk, that little kid. So that sucked.
Which is unexpected, but it helped. It helped Lewis emotionally develop into his own.
Yeah, it did.
So it had a purpose. But yeah, so 3.5 is going to be my score for this film.
Awesome.
So hopefully, listeners, this was a movie that you were on par with me and Donnie. Maybe you thought better, maybe you thought worse. We definitely would like to hear your thoughts. You can let us know on any of the social media platforms, or on YouTube or iTunes if you want to review us. I would appreciate any feedback. But thank you so much for everyone for listening to this episode. Until next time.
See you guys.